Let's take a little trip back. Let's take a trip back to before there was blues music. Let's go back during the days of slavery even, and we'll start with a field holler. Now the idea of a field holler is working in the fields in the southern United States. You want to make the day go by a little faster, and singing is a good way to make that go by, distract yourself a little bit. And people are singing about what's on their mind. There are many purposes for this singing, but we'll start off with an example of a field holler, and then we'll take a look at it. So, the field holler, if we're going back to before 1865, then, for instance, let's just say that we're in a place that cotton fields are already developed, because you got to understand that in some of these places, in Mississippi, for instance, was late to get settled. And some places people are actually clearing forests and making farmland. But let's go and find ourselves into an established cotton plantation. And while you're picking the cotton and filling sacks full of cotton, you throw them onto a trailer. The trailer, of course, is being pulled by a donkey or a horse, or most likely a mule. And to that rhythm, people would start singing. Somebody sings about something they got on their mind, and then everybody would answer back to it. How many of you are singers in this room? 2 hands? I get 2 hands? All right, well, then we got amateur singers. I need to hear your voices out. I'm going to call out a line, and I want you to sing it back to me. So let's see. I don't want no cornbread, peas, and black molasses. And everybody out in the field would holler back, I don't want no cornbread, peas, and black molasses. Only with a little more, something. And the first person would finish what they got on their mind. At supper time now. Oh Lord, 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 supper time. So 2 things we should sort of remember here. I'm going to stop for a second and just say that first thing to remember is that cotton plantations in the South weren't like farmland north of Toronto, for instance. It wasn't divided up into 100-acre sections like farmland is around here. Cotton plantations in the South were 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 acres. So they were massive. A field might be 100 acres. There might be, in this time that I'm talking about right now, there might be 50, there might even be 100 slaves in one field. Chances are they're spread over a few fields. But to be heard across that kind of a distance, you got to really belt it out. And the other thing is that I was going to bring up is, if you're trying to make your day go by faster and you are working, remember, if you're a slave in the southern United States a couple 100 years ago, you've had your freedom taken away from you. You've had your language taken away from you. You've had your religion taken away from you, and you've been pulled away from your very family and your community and everything else. And you're living a completely dismal life in so many ways. So this kind of singing, you're not going to make your day go by any faster, for instance, by singing, I don't want no. So let's just give it another try. I'll sing another one and belt it back to me and try to imagine ourselves. We're human beings here in this room. Try to imagine ourselves stuck in this kind of a situation. And so, I got a letter from my mama this morning. And everyone would sing that back. I got a letter from my mama this morning. I tell you. Said, son, come home. Oh, Lord, 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 son, come home. So this kind of song, even if you won't sing it, would echo through the fields. And you got to imagine, the power of the voices spread out. You could have imagined if everyone had sort of raised their voices a little bit, but anyway, imagine the sound of the echoing across fields. Fields that are flat, because we're talking about the Mississippi Delta, and it's like a prairie in a way. It's not an actual, just a river delta. The delta area was an area that was once forested and has soil about 3 feet deep instead of touching on clay or sand underneath it.